Once upon a time, there was a simple man who enjoyed simple things. No, I mean he was really simple.
I'm not a smart man.
Longing for a classic Toyota and the timeless design they embody, this rust-free 1977 Toyota Celica fell in his lap thanks to the generosity of a friend in Arizona who understood this simple man's need for just such a car. From there, this simple man enlisted the help of his even simpler friends, starting with a large, sweaty creature known simply as Moose. With steam rising off him like a mythical creature, Moose skillfully and delicately stripped down the Celica inside and out. Oh, and if you're wondering how the car got the name Connie, well, here's Connie Celica, the 70s and 80s TV and movie star, and well, I'm pretty sure you can do the math on this one. 1 + 1 equals... Come on! Now it was time to stop by the local JDM importer and buy a Blacktop Beams 3S GE, a naturally aspirated 207 horsepower 4-cylinder engine perfectly suited to the uncomplicated nature of this car and owner. Once this powertrain was bolted in place with mounting brackets and transmission crossmember from excessive manufacturing, Team Simpleton here had to muster up every iota of brain power they could to tackle a few more complicated jobs, like building a custom steering column to mate to the AW11 manual steering rack, as well as modifying an A86 GTS rear axle to mate to Connie's rear end, including equipping it with a Tomei 1.5-way LSD. Now a rolling chassis built around Technotoy Tuning's highly adjustable lower control arms, tension rods, and steering rods, along with Fortunato's AE86 coilovers and Fast Brake's 11-inch big brake kits front and rear, we towed the old girl to Vibrant Performance, where they built a beauty of a custom 4-to-1 header and a super fresh 2.5-inch diameter exhaust. Speaking of fresh, now is the perfect time to introduce the sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. If you're like me and struggle to find time to plan meals and grocery shop accordingly, HelloFresh takes all the thinking out of healthy, delicious meals by providing pre-portioned ingredients, foolproof recipes, and convenient doorstep delivery of fresh, seasonal ingredients picked at peak ripeness for quality you can taste. As you can see, this smart shrimp curry with buttered couscous was absolutely delicious, and the honey sriracha roasted salmon was just as easy to cook and was a full-on flavor party in my mouth. My wife was a huge fan of the creamy garlic chicken and spinach, so much so that she jumped on HelloFresh.com and started shopping for more. That's when we discovered HelloFresh has 40 weekly recipes to choose from for all meal occasions, lifestyles, and preferences. Plus, with the cost of groceries going up and up, we found HelloFresh to be a cost-effective and convenient way to feed the whole family for as much as 70% less than it would cost to order in from a restaurant. So there you go, folks. If you want to make mealtime easy with delicious recipes made with fresh, wholesome ingredients delivered to your door, no lines, no hassles, just great tasting meals you can whip up and enjoy in the comfort of home, then head on over to HelloFresh.com and use code SpeedAcademy60 for 60% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com and use code SpeedAcademy60 for 60% off plus free shipping. Thank you, HelloFresh, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the story of Connie Celica, my 1977 Toyota Celica. Ready for the next phase of the build, Connie got promoted from home garage side piece to Speed Academy shop main squeeze, with the simply unstoppable force known as PT stepping in to build out key systems including the fuel system, oil cooler setup, seat mounts, and much more. When jobs required more than this team of simple men could achieve, we enlisted the help of all-stars like Master Nam from Enviado, who built out a custom chassis harness designed to integrate perfectly with the RacePack SmartWire PDM, Link ECU, and Panic-made engine harness. Mike from GT Customs, who built a custom roll bar to add some chassis stiffness and rollover protection, was also added to the team. Oh, and let's not forget the simplest man of all, the surgeon, Ken Wagon, who took the angle grinder to Connie Celica's fenders so that we could fit up a set of TRD-style fender flares, and he also built a custom rear valance from a reproduction panel for a 1966 Ford Mustang. Mechanically complete-ish, we took Connie to Enviado for a proper alignment and then headed to the dyno to get the Link ECU dialed in by our homie Sasha. by an exploratory rip around Toronto Motorsports Park, where we discovered the brakes didn't work worth a damn, but man oh man did the engine ever sound good bouncing the rev limiter while doing donuts. This time it was time to tear her down again in preparation for body and paint. And by body and paint, I mean carbon fiber roof and custom carbon fiber fender flares designed by John Sabal and built by Tim at Industry Garage. As you may have already seen on the Street Bandito YouTube channel, Tim built the carbon fiber roof not once but twice, and he was even generous enough to paint Connie twice before she was covered in Toyota Super White 2. Now the only thing left to do is to completely rebuild her again. And just like that, you are all caught up on the history of Connie Celica, my 1977 Toyota Celica, a car that I've owned since 2015 and have a deep love for. But as you know now, she went away for a few years on a long spa trip to Baltimore. It's exciting to have her back. And when she came back, she didn't look quite like this. But before we get into that, I do want to say that Pete and I are both a little bit intimidated about this because we haven't touched this car in so long, and we have a shop full of parts that we don't know where they go anymore. We don't know what bolt fits in what hole. So we've kind of been talking about how long is it going to take us to make this car whole again with a complete interior, which is something we've never done before. Yes, we made it mechanically run and drive before, but we never put an interior in it. We never really took care of a lot of the little details that you want when building a complete car. So I have this number in my head, like I think, typically we only get 3 or 4 working days in at the shop, and filming slows things down. But not discounting the slowdown in filming, I still think that this car is simple enough, because really there's a lot of stuff here, but it's not like a mountain. It's not insurmountable. I think we could get this thing done in 15 working days. And I know Peter's smirking behind the camera, shaking his head, thinking I'm crazy. So what do you think, Pete? Give me a number.
That's insane. I'm saying 28, just because I don't want to say 30, because 30 sucks, but 28 days.
And if we're honest, historically, things have taken us longer than I've projected or Pete's projected, so maybe we even go over 28 days. I don't know. You guys let us know in the comment section. Looking at this car, and it won't have an engine and a radiator in it shortly.
The engine does have to come out. All this does have to come out,
right?
We'll
explain
mention
why,
that in a second.
but it will basically be a bare rolling chassis when we start in earnest. So let us know in the comment how long you think it's going to take us to put this car together. And why don't we give you a quick tour of the parts here so you kind of have a better idea of what needs to be done before that. Starting with the biggest and maybe the most important thing of all, and of course that is Beamsy. And this is Beamsy 2.0. This is a newer G5 version of the blacktop, the newest version of it. And I really bought it because it came up at the right price. My buddy Ryan was selling it, and we thought this is a good opportunity to upgrade to a fresher version of the Beams motor at what was basically, I think it was $1,400. It was so cheap we couldn't say no. So you'll also notice we do have another set of ITBs. These are the bigger Panic 52 mil ITBs, much bigger than those AE111 blacktops, which I think are like 47 mil. Also comes with the newer version of the J160 transmission. It's got better synchros in it. Apparently it is just a nicer shifting gearbox than the one that came with my G1 beams. So those will both be going in the car, and there'll be some other stuff that goes on this that you'll see later on down the road, including a lightened flywheel from Toyota and this really nice oil pan, which solves a couple of problems. One, this is from a company out of New Zealand called Surfab, which was sourced from Battle Garage Racing Service out in California. It's baffled, and you can see its added capacity out here because it's designed to be much lower profile. So it gives you ground clearance. When you see us install this, you'll understand why that's so important. But believe me, this is going to be a life and motor saving installation. So excited to have that. We obviously have a set of gauges here as well. These are from Speed Hut. And you can get them with like custom faces and stuff. These were originally actually going to go in our FDRX7, but we decided to keep that OE. And I decided I kind of want to go back to more classic looking gauges in the Celica, sort of more suiting of its era than having that digital race dash in there. So those
blue killed me on that one, DP.
I know.
It just looks so old. It's so out of place.
Yeah, this I think will look much more in place. And we have lots of original dashes that these gauges fit in very well. My brother actually 3D printed some rings that'll help adapt these gauges to the factory dash. So that'll be fun to play around with. You can see we've got new door cards and sail panels, and I redid the dash cover. You would have seen episodes on all of that stuff before. We've got wheel spacers, which we need because of the wider fender flares. You'll see more on that soon. This is the original exhaust system. We may actually change out to a different muffler. I'd kind of like to maybe go with like a blacked out muffler because the muffler hangs sort of in view on this car. And I'm also thinking I'd like something that's less sort of like, Canon style, maybe more vintage style, maybe twin tips, something like that. You'll see that on the channel soon. I've got a new panhard rod bar from Technotoy Tuning. Got a bunch of stuff here from DEI, which is going to help us with soundproofing the car. So there's under padding for carpets. There's material to line the trunk with. We've got boom mat to put down in there for sound deadening. So we're going to try to make the car a lot more civilized than maybe I originally envisioned it, kind of being a gutted race car. Now I want it to be a nice street car. So that's going to go in. Got this little BMW rear defroster motor from an E46 M3 convertible, and we're actually going to put this up under the dash as a defrost motor for the front windscreen. So we're going to adapt it to this duct, maybe with a 3D printed section that join the two. So that'll be
that sounds cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think that'll be neat to show
because
you
you're
guys.
ditching the whole heater blower motors
Yeah.
assembly.
Yeah, the heater core is this huge thing that's old rotten plastics. This will be a much simpler solution. You can see we've got all new weather seals here. Many of them are OEM. Some of them are aftermarket reproduction, but that's going to allow us to replace every seal on the entire car. We've got rebuild kits for window regulators and all kinds of stuff. So there's a ton of work to do to make all that
DG,
stuff.
pick that up there. I want to see. There's plugs.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Oh, yeah.
What is this?
So this is actually the spring for the door hinge, I want to say.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't even remember. There's stuff in here. There's so much stuff in here. There's maybe that's the door hinge stuff. Anyway, there's door hinge stuff. There's window regulator stuff. Maybe the springs are for the trunk. No, that's on like a torsion beam. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff here that I got to go through because I ordered this stuff so many years ago. I don't even remember half of what I've ordered. I just hope I ordered everything I need. Here we've got the front seats for the car. These are Cobra RSR vintage style buckets, and we actually had one of these in the car in the last season that we shot, but it wasn't this exact seat. It was borrowed from a friend, and it had the black vinyl in the center section as well, where these have the corduroy center section, which I actually really like. I think it kind of like adds texture and will be more breathable and more comfortable in the summer. So happy that I ordered those. Forgot that I did, but I was happy to see it when we unwrapped it. And one of the coolest things that I've got is this racing jacket. So this is for the front headlights, and it mounts sort of on top of the rear, or the front bumper, sorry, and covers the front headlights, and just has this opening to feed cool air to the radiator. It was designed by TRD for their race cars, for their Celica race cars, to improve aerodynamics, because without it there, they were getting a ton of front lift because air was getting under the front hood and lifting the front end, so this prevents that. So it is actually a functional piece for aerodynamics and cooling, and I also think it just looks super cool. You can get it tinted as well. These come from, oh my gosh, I bought it from Joji at Toy Garage, but they're manufactured by a guy in California who's called Off. And there you go, it's manufactured by Aftermarket Fabworks. Super nice guy who is a diehard Celica and old school Japanese car guy. He's making a lot of parts, lenses, all kinds of cool stuff for restoring these cars. So thanks for the hat too, guys, I appreciate it. I'll wear it in a future video. I don't want to swap it on camera right now because you guys would see that I don't actually have any hair, and that would be shocking to some of you, I know.
Oh my God.
Disturbing. So we've got a carpet kit, we've got interior plastics galore, we've got
6 buckets worth of
buckets full of dashes and junk. We've got, e-brake cables. We're gonna maybe go back to a proper e-brake instead of a hydro e-brake. There's a lot of changes coming, guys.
BP, I want to show everybody the toolboxes, because those to me
it's true.
are pretty interesting here.
There's some good stash in there, yes, it's true.
This is where I think we're going to run into problems where we need stuff.
Yes.
And
my level of organization is not the highest, but you got the chassis engine harness here. This is actually a steering wheel I bought off a guy who posted it on Facebook. This is from the 70s, and it was in a Celica.
Yeah, it looks rad, man.
I thought it was a personal, but it's actually called a President steering wheel, and it's made by the German company that made the wheels for Porsches back in the day, whose name is escaping me right now. But you can see it's made in Italy, though the parent company is German. I had the details in an email somewhere, but it's actually a legit vintage steering wheel, and I liked the size of it. It's smaller than the one that I have in there now, so we'll see if the smaller wheel just feels more comfortable or not. Some other random things up here, but yeah, I mean, I've just kind of thrown things in drawers. There's new front camber plates from NX Suspension. Those will make sense when you see the suspension that's coming. Oh, I bought this manual off of, I bought this from the guy that runs the first gen Celica forum, Mike Santos. He like reprinted these catalogs, which are super awesome because it's got like
really good,
like full breakdown of where every nut and bolt goes. So that I think will come in handy when we're doing a lot of like, window regulator, fussy stuff in the inside. I've got, just brand new gas cap, a shift knob that our friend Jason Pizarro sent us. That's a dead pedal that Mike at GT Customs made when he did the roll kit.
That's actually really rad.
That is an OG shift knob. You remember Jason Pizarro?
Yes, yeah.
He sent me this from his stash, which was super generous of him. So we'll try that on for size, see how it fits up. We have, here's the vacuum system for the ITBs. I've got stuff in bags for, there's your oh shit handles. I've got shift knobs. I've got other random things for, here's some, here you go. Here's Aftermarket Fabworks, who also made these clear lenses and seals. So these are out of production now. They're impossible to get. I did get one of the last OEM ones for one side, but not the other side. So he sent me brand new reproductions for both sides. And it goes on and on. I've got nuts and bolts that are bagged in here. There you go, your hood front edge chrome. Has 6 little screws in it.
Yes.
So we've got bags and bags of that stuff.
Everything's extremely well organized by the looks of it. We're gonna be hustling through this.
I've got an original glove box. This is actually what the glove box is made of, like this sort of cardboardy paper. There's a guy in Australia that makes reproduction ones though out of like ABS plastic or something. Maybe I'll buy one someday, although right now we have the ECU living in the glove box, so it doesn't really matter. And it just goes on and on. So yeah, random stuff in here. This is my drawer of nuts and bolts. It's all bagged and tagged, so it should be good. It shouldn't be a problem, Pete. This is a 10, 15 day build at the most. 10. I'm feeling more optimistic having gone through the stash here. So.
All right, well.
So if you guys are wondering why did I put the old engine back in the engine bay if
the front end is on, it looks so much more complete than when it came from paint.
Yeah, and the reason we did that is because the guys from NX Suspension came up here to do a full suspension analysis of the car to build true custom coilover setup for this car based on its motion ratios and corner weights. And to give them corner weights, I had to try quickly to make the car as complete as I could for them, which meant tossing this engine in here, putting the radiator in it, putting this beautiful carbon fiber strut bar in that Technotoy Tuning is going to have for sale, putting the front end on, and then taking a lot of the interior stuff and just like throwing it in the interior so that we could give them a reasonable corner weight number to work from when doing their analysis of the car. So this is actually going to be coming out before Pete and I start, but why don't we cut now to the visit from the guys at NX Suspension so that you can see that whole process. That's right, everyone. We are here at the shop with Grant from NX Suspension. He's flown all the way out here from San Jose, is it? Is that right?
Fremont, technically, yeah.
Fremont.
Yeah.
It's the Bay Area.
Do you know where Fremont is?
I have no idea.
Yeah, no one ever does. We're pretty much next to the Tesla factory. That's the best way to describe Fremont.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is basically like an analysis on the suspension of this car, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm excited is because as far as I know, no one's really gone like full tilt on developing suspension for Celica. So I'm pretty excited to see what the differences are, what needs to be changed. Really, as this car is getting more and more popular and people are starting to RestoMod it and stuff, I think the timing is right to make something really cool for it. Basically, we want to start off by getting the right height where Dave wants his car, because ultimately we're building something for Dave. And so we've taken our tool, which maybe we'll show you guys a little bit later, but we very carefully measured the hub to fender heights. And then once we have that data, we'll then do a 3D scan so we can get that relative measurement. We'll also scan the wheels and tires so we know exactly what the package is going to be like as we go back to the US and work on this. Yeah, and once we have that set up, we'll then start to measure the corner weights. We'll also measure the motion ratios and the unsprung weight. And that, along with scans of the underside of your car to look for any clearance issues, is going to be a really big head start on us developing something back at home.
Awesome. Quick break in the action here. Grant, what are you doing?
Okay, so we have removed the old shock. And basically the goal is right now is we want to very carefully measure how much the hub is moving relative to the actual shock. And that's how we're going to determine the exact motion ratio. We've made a proprietary tool to do this. Unfortunately, we can't show you guys because it's proprietary, but this will let us get that measurement down to the millimeter level, which is what allows us to get really good results with damping. So we'll get that started then. Oh, stop.
Grant's just wrapping up measurements for the motion ratio maths on the rear end here, and I'm admiring your little red billet tool there, which you guys actually make, right?
Yeah, we do. We made this because we were measuring the ride heights all the time, and we needed to have a very careful way to measure it. And then we didn't have a method that was accurate and repeatable enough. So we found ourselves like doing weird things like taping a bubble to a tape measure and like kind of ghetto stuff like that. So one day we decided, you know, why don't we just make a tool to do just that? So what this has is it's got a bubble here to make sure that we're level when we're taking our reference measurement.
Yeah.
And there's a pointed stick, if you will, that's nylon, and we did that so that it won't mess up your wheels if you're measuring it from the wheel hub.
Right.
That lets you get a really consistent reference point. And then you find a consistent place to measure it on the fender with your tape measure, and that gives you very repeatable ride height measurements.
And you put a groove in it to hook in the
That's
tape
right.
measure,
That's
which
right.
is brilliant, I think. So very cool. And you actually sell these now.
Yeah, they're on the website.
You mean you got a high score when it beeps like that? You guys just saw they're doing some 3D scanning of the front wheel well, and I assume this is to help you choose what's going to fit in there stroke-wise once the wheel's on the hub. Is that why you're doing it?
When we're gonna go pick the length of shock to use and the length of stroke to use,
Yeah.
we can use this as additional information that we can see as a consideration. Like, if we did this much stroke, would that be a problem with your clearances, with your wheel to fender clearances? As you guys can see, Dave's got these really nice custom flares. We definitely don't want to allow the suspension
harm my
to.
flares,
Yeah.
please.
Thought the wheels crashed into that. So right now we're just kind of getting some base scanning of the parts that are here, so we know where the pickup points are for the control arms. We know where the hub is relative to those as well. We're also going to scan the wheels themselves, so we know the wheel and tire package that we can kind of add into the software later.
All right, fellas, thank you so much for flying up here. I know it was a long trip for you, and you are experiencing some Canadian weather, so sorry to expose you to that, but really excited to experience Connie on the suspension. I love the way the Type R drives. I'm blown away by how good that car works on the street and the track, so I'm hoping we can replicate some of that magic on here, and I'm thinking with all this technology, we're gonna make it happen, guys.
Yeah, this might be the most technical approach to doing suspension on Celica anywhere, so I'm really excited for what's gonna come of it.
Yeah, I'm pumped on it, and really excited to show you more of your products and some of our other project cars too. So expect lots more Annex on Speed Academy, and of course, if you want to acquire anything from you, you just go to annexsuspension.com.
That's right.
And if you want to see the lowest Celica in the world, go to your Instagram tag, which is
At Jeffrey Leong.
there you go. Thanks, guys, and we're gonna get back to making this car whole again. And by whole again, of course, I mean taking everything out that we added in for corner weighting purposes for the Annex guys, so that we can start fresh and make Connie as good as we possibly can.
Is this a sign of things to come, DP.
That's right. This was such an easy job. We pulled the motor in 20 minutes. This car's so easy. Once you get the front off, it's just smooth sailing. Until I forgot to put a plug in the back of the transmission. But
look at that spill. Look at this thing. Oh my God.
It's a doozy.
Dumped all of the oil.
And gear oil does not smell the best, but luckily we just got a new shipment in from Valvoline in their convenient to use flex fill containers, which I think are pretty ingenious, don't you, Pete? Like the handiness of filling a gearbox or a diff with
this now
is so nice. Yeah. So you will see this in a future episode. And this was not an intentional oil spill so that we could plug Valvoline. It just happened, and I thought, let's share my favorite container with everyone. So that's a wrap on this episode, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode. As a matter of fact, guys, don't forget to go to HelloFresh.com and use code SpeedAcademy for 60% off and free shipping. And follow along as we bring this car back to life and make it whole again, make it a true street car, driver's car. It'll go to the racetrack. It's going to do all the things.
In a month.
It's only going to take us 10 to 15 days to do it. Or in Pete's version of reality, which is probably
30 working days.
30 working days.
2 months for us.
We're going to find out. And at the same time, we're going to see how long it takes to make Pete's 930 a little bit cooler, although frankly, it's already pretty darn cool. But excited to see that come together too.